The question is, what's the worst piece of advice someone's ever given you?
Oh, God.
I'll go first. What do you think? When I was in my mid-20s and I was like really struggling with substance abuse, somebody who was in recovery said, "Oh, you're mid-20s, you still got loads of time ahead of you. Like, don't worry about that till you get to your 30s. And I was like, yeah, you're so right, actually. And I literally just ended up becoming even more of a fucking mess than I was at the time, because I then somehow got it into my head that I'm too young to, sort myself out.
I don't think I ever took advice until in my older age.
That is very true, actually, because only in this last business have you actually started asking other people for advice.
Yes, I don't really,
And you actually said to me, that's the best piece of advice.
Oh, I'll tell you what was the worst advice.
What?
Spend the 1.6 million, we'll give you some more. That was the worst advice I ever gave. Spend the 1.6 million investment and we'll give you more money.
Yeah.
Have you got any more of that dough? No.
Funny that.
That's great advice. That's the worst advice I've ever had. Yeah.
Oh, my days.
I got a question for you. Quick one. Would you rather be able to speak any language in the world or be able to speak to animals?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Isn't it?
Okay, what would be the benefit of being able to talk to animals? Obviously,
you would learn the secrets of, you could speak to like animals that have been here for what was going down back in the day, bro.
What, like that shark that's like 400 years old or something? How am I going to get down to speak to the shark?
Well, someone found it. Well, you speak to the animals. You seen that shark?
Turn left at the coral reef.
Yeah.
Keep swimming 100 meters. I mean, it would be very useful to speak to Pepe, be able to have a little chat with him. How you finding it here in this new house?
Hate it.
Yeah. Any language. Well, I guess I could learn a language, couldn't I? But I couldn't learn to speak to animals. That would be like a gift that was like given. So it'd be stupid to waste that.
If you really wanted to speak languages, you'd learn them.
Yeah. Whereas, being able to speak to animals, that's like a gift. You couldn't waste that.
Imagine the animals telling you something, but you'd go mad though, because you'd be telling humans, hey, listen, my dog's telling me this.
You'd become I'll tell you what, speak to animals, because you'd become the most elite dog trainer in the fucking world, and everybody would be gagging for your secrets, wouldn't they? You'd become so rich.
You'd use that whole skill to become an elite dog trainer. You'd be walking around with poo bags and smelling like fucking dogs. That'd be your That'd be your thing.
I'd tell Pepe to stop fucking chewing my finger. That's what I do. And this new top, I just got this. Stop it. I've got a question for you. The question is, would you rather be gay or straight?
Well, I already made that decision.
It's not a decision.
Oh.
It's not a choice.
What do you mean it's not a choice?
It's not a choice.
Well,
you can't decide to be gay.
I can decide to try gay.
Yeah, that's true. Can't decide to be gay. But would you actually rather be gay or straight?
You don't decide to be gay, but you decide, surely everything in, the world is telling you one thing, but you decide to go, you know what, I want to be true to myself. Some people will decide not to be true to themselves.
That's true.
There you go. I'm gayer than you.
In what way?
Well, I just know more about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In what way?
Well,
what do you know about?
I just know how gays really feel.
Because you know me.
Yeah.
You've seen it.
But
been through the trenches.
That's true though, right? Like I'm sure there is some gay men out there that are pretending to be straight because they've not decided to be themselves.
Yeah, you.
I suppose they are gay, it's just they're not.
Yeah, exactly. They're hiding it. But what about, I'm talking more like the cultures and the I don't know, the ways that we have sex or relationships or travel or the choice to not have kids and all that, which I know straight people have the choice to not have kids, but it's more of a...
Sorry.
Imagine you telling Caitlin we're not having a kid.
So, would I rather be me or you? I'm okay with being straight. Thank you.
I couldn't do anything worse than being straight.
Well, listen, I think it's just too complicated.
Do you?
I think it is, talking to you, owning a gay brand, and having to navigate some of the stuff that, I assume most straight people will look at gays and go, oh, them gays stick together. But me knowing you and knowing the gay community and how much politics go on in the gay community is it's like, it's too complicated. You can be, you can't win because there's always someone talking shit and you're like, listen, I'm just trying to do good I'm building a gay company that is doing great things for a lot of, men and you still get shit for it. It's mad. It's crazy.
But I wonder that about women as well. I wonder whether,
I think when you've been oppressed,
or the black community.
Yeah, well, the black community is probably just as bad. But I think maybe when you've been oppressed, that I don't know, it gives you an anxiety or gives you a feeling that, I don't know, bet in the black community when one slave got to sleep in the house, all the other slaves fucking hated him.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? It would create a certain thing in between that community. And it's probably the same in a lot of like people that have been, it's been like that because it's just in you to not like each other when actually you should be sticking together.
Pitted against each other. Interesting. So you're not there's no aspects of gay life that you think you're quite jealous of, you'd wish that there was a bit more of that in the straight world?
I think at one point I was probably jealous of like the sex in the gay world until I learned how to speak about sex.
What do you mean, speak about it? With your partner?
Yeah, with my wife. I think there's more of a stigma of it when you're speaking like as a man and a female between each other that's created just through anxiety. And in the gay world, it's a little bit more, you're a bit more open to it. But
some people.
That's what I mean. Is it everyone? I'm sure there's some straight couples that can speak about it a lot more. Like,
no, because there's some gay people who are really anti-open relationships because they think that we fought so long to get gay marriage that we are bringing down the reputation of the gay community by having open relationships. So it's not all gay people that have that sort of value set around sex and openness. I think generally it's different, obviously, in the gay community than in the straight community. But so yeah, it's not everyone's cup of tea at all.
One thing that I do, again, the gays that I've met is they look after themselves a lot better than the straight men.
Than the straights. Well, that's not always healthy, but but yeah.
Well, it's probably driven from anxiety. But from an outlook, when I've been to a gay party and I'm looking at all the guys thinking, oh, everyone's well kept. They're probably crying inside, but it's from the outskirts, you look well put together. When, if you went to a party full of straight guys, you'd probably be like, oh gosh, this fucking smells like fucking Links.
Links Africa. Oh God.
Yeah. Knowing what I know. No.
I've put you off, is what I'm hearing.
Well, it's just it's hard enough navigating being me.
Yeah.
Never mind being me with half the stuff that you have to go through.
I mean, so happy for you and your family and all that, but like roll on dink household with me.
But here's one thing. You didn't have a choice for it to be this difficult. The world made it hard and made certain aspects of your community very difficult, and the way it is it has been put on them through the struggle.
Mm.
You understand what I mean? So like, if it would have been fair and square from the beginning,
Might be a different story.
But you had it hard. I mean, Blacks had it hard as well. But there's, it wasn't, it got put on you like this way. You had to pretend sometimes to be something that you wasn't. You had to conform when you didn't feel like you should. You felt different at times. That caused a lot of trauma.
Okay, so if none of that existed and it was always fair game from the beginning, then would you want to be gay instead of straight?
No, still no.
It's homophobic. Okay, question 1. So, are there any parallels to both of your dating and relationship histories, and has it changed over the years? For context, I also have a straight best friend. I'm interested to see if you guys are similar. Wait, let me read that again. Are there any parallels to both of your dating and relationship histories, and has it changed over the years? Well, Louis had more girlfriends than I've had sexual partners since I've known him. So I've had one boyfriend in the 10 years that Louis has known me.
Yeah, you've had one boyfriend. So there's a lot of difference.
Yeah.
But here's one thing.
What?
I was thinking about this question. My dating life, I look at old relationships and where they went wrong.
Yeah.
And it was just all down to me.
Oh, it was all down to you why they went wrong?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because 1, I wasn't ready to commit.
Yeah.
2, I was just not who I am right now.
Yeah.
But also, it takes the right woman or man to make you want to change. So yes, probably a lot of the things were down to me, but with age, with the right woman,
yeah,
I've changed and now in a completely different relationship to what I was before, where my whole dating life, I think, was, again, mixed up with a lot of different anxieties, emotions. And you got to remember, I'm from Loughborough, where there's a lot of white guys. And like I said before on another podcast, I was the odd one out, being the black guy. Yeah, I still got some attention from the girls, but no way, it wasn't the same, Like my group of friends, I can remember they were always like getting more. It wasn't until I came to London that I was
desired.
More the forbidden fruit. So then all of a sudden, like, I'm going out and women are saying they want a piece. All of a sudden you're like, oh, look at that. So now, not from not being wanted, you're now wanted. So that's going to cause you to lose your shit a little bit, So that was for the early parts of my life.
But did you want relationships in your 20s?
I've always been in a relationship with some sort.
Yeah, it's funny because neither you or I in our 20s were well equipped to be in a relationship. But I think recognized that and then actively avoided it for 10 years. Whereas you were like, I'm going to lean into this and I'm going to go out with a string of girlfriends, even though I know I'm not capable. Or did you not know that you weren't capable?
Well, I was just completely blissfully unaware that I was not ready for a relationship, not capable of a relationship. I thought my way, the highway. I thought that I understood, it wasn't me, it was them. The reason I can't commit is because them.
Do you think there's loads of other straight men like you?
Oh my! So
even at your age now?
100%.
Yeah.
You got to understand as well, I got a lot of that shit out of my system early on in my life. So in my 20s, I was going out. I was having that life where now, even from my early 30s, I didn't desire that anymore. So I got to a point where I was like, okay, I don't want to go out. I don't want that lifestyle. And I started working on myself. But some men don't work on themselves because you just think that you know it all. And that shows weakness and all these things. So therefore, let's say you get in your 30s, you start training then, and then you start feeling like, sexy. Now all of a sudden you've missed out. You've been one partner your whole life. You're gonna start to think otherwise.
Okay, so let's say there's somebody listening to this podcast right now. They're in their mid-20s. They've been going through a string of relationships. How, based on your experience, is there anything that you could say to help them identify whether they are in a good place to be in a relationship or not, or what they should be working on?
It's hard to ask yourself that question, but maybe ask your ex-partners. How was I in a relationship?
Oh my God, that's a tough one, isn't it?
Well, you sometimes got to learn it. But I had to kind of ask myself them questions. But obviously through other things, I did therapy, I did ayahuasca.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that showed me that, put a mirror in front of me. Without them tools, I don't think I could have ever done it.
Yeah.
I would have never done it.
Yeah, because ayahuasca told you were a cunt.
Yeah, big time. Slap in the face.
Yeah.
And that was, you spend your whole life thinking about how you're affected by everyone. Ayahuasca showed me how I was affecting other people. And then you realise you ain't as nice as you think you are.
See, I never got that when I did ayahuasca. It was very much like all about me and the way that I talk to myself. But I'd be interested. I didn't have a boyfriend at the time that I did ayahuasca. But I would be interested to see how my sexual behavior in my 20s had affected other people. Because, there's a book called The Ethical Slut, and it's about, embracing being a slut, and it's okay, but you have to do it ethically, and it lays out all the sort of groundwork on what being an ethical slut means. And I was not an ethical slut in my 20s, I wasn't. And so I sometimes think, like, how did I hurt people in my 20s without even realizing, just by being an insatiable dick pig?
It's hard, isn't it? But listen, no one teaches you stuff. It's difficult. I mean, me and you it's our relationships, how we think about them have been completely different. Mine has been a lot of trial and error, and yours has been waiting for the right person and right time.
Yeah, I mean, the turning point for me was therapy, and it was really telling my therapist what my relationship with men was like, in order to then understand why my relationship with men was like that, and then how to date differently. I had to first of all, I had to learn how to have sober sex, because I hadn't had it for years and years and years and years. Then I had to learn how to date differently, i.e. I had to not date with the intention of sleeping with somebody on the first date. I had to, go through X amount of dates first before, like, I had to really, like, train myself to interact differently with men. And then I had to, like, learn what I wanted and needed in a partner. And then I had to, like, date with a completely different goal going into dating, of, like, finding out whether this person would fulfill my needs. Then eventually, obviously, like, met Pablo and found somebody who could fulfill X amount of emotional needs on my non-negotiable list, right? But then, I got into a relationship with him, and as I realized throughout being in a relationship with him, being in a relationship won't fix you. New problems just start coming up, and you realize, you have different needs or different wants, or, so fuck me, like, I'm still learning. It's been a whole journey. Like, when I first sort of, like, went into recovery when I was 27, all I then wanted was a boyfriend, because I suddenly had space for a boyfriend, right? And I then spent the next 4 years of my life thinking, okay, been single for 10 years now, really would value having a boyfriend. And so then I think I sort of, like, went out looking for it, and sort of, like, maybe read into things a bit too much, or sort of, like, tried to force it actually a little bit too much, and then kind of actually realized maybe I don't actually want or need a boyfriend at all. So I'm still very much learning. I don't know if I will get back into another relationship for a good few years. And that's not me kind of actively pushing somebody away. If it happened, it happened. But I now know, as I said, I don't actually want or need one. So it'd really have to be someone special to slot in.
You asked me a question about what I would say to a younger version of me.
Yeah.
On advice about relationship. Here's what I'd say is, what you got to understand about a relationship is it takes work. Now, the only way you can be ready for a relationship is you have to be ready to work on yourself, work on the relationship, and help your partner work on their self. So the right person that you pick, it needs to be the person that you're willing to put in work, and then you will probably be with each other for.
That's why you're in therapy, Caitlin's in therapy, and you're both in therapy together in couples therapy.
Yeah, and we do check-ins, and there's so many things that we have in our relationship to continue the work. It's so easy to just forget or become just parents and not have anything to do with our relationship, like building our relationship, just like mum and dad for all the time. So actually, no, we're Louis and Caitlin as well. We need to be in a relationship. So it ain't easy, but you just got to do the work. But you have to have the right partner to do the work with. So if you are willing to do the work on a relationship and the other partner isn't, you ain't about one. Or if they are and you're not, you're not the right time for you.
Yeah, because your mate's going through that at the minute with his partner, isn't he? Where he really wants to change and put in the work, and she's so emotionally avoidant. And I was on the phone to him, and I was like, if she doesn't want to put in the work, trouble in paradise. Like, you've got to have two people that are willing to meet each other in the middle, right?
Well, that's the problem. If you think you don't need to work on yourself,
major red flag.
Well, you just
emotionally mature.
Yeah, like you just finish, mate, because you can't. No one's perfect. I've worked on myself for many years. I've got so much work to do still. Like,
well, yeah, because as I came to realize, I went into the relationship with Pablo thinking I'm ready for a relationship, and then I realized I had to do so much more work around myself in a relationship. Like, it's completely different
sometimes
thing.
You got to practice on the job, no?
Yeah, absolutely, like 100%. But you have to be willing to do that, as you said. And I did really try with Pablo, but I realized there was still my own shit that stuff that I just didn't even identify before I went like savage independence and like.
Yeah, I mean, listen, God bless Pablo, because I don't know how he did it.
Oh no,
he only put up a good fight for.
He did
for someone that's absolutely.
I just need somebody in the future who can stand me. That's my need.
That's just moving me and Caitlin. Just be the little gay best mate that just lives.
I'm just the family member. Oh no. It's going to be me, 50 years old, still living in your spare bedroom.
The thing is, I think the only way for you to be in a solid relationship is you're going to have to meet someone. They're going to be a friend, and then it will go from there.
Do you think?
I
sometimes wonder if I already know my future partner.
Yeah, I think it's someone that like you're already comfortable with. So they know the ins and outs, and you can kind of build that relationship. I think they're good relationships as well. But I think that probably might be the case for you. Might not. Someone might come and sweep you off your feet. But I think it's difficult, isn't it? Because you can be ready for a relationship, but are you ready for jealousy? Are you ready for insecurity? Are you ready for that? You don't know you're ready for them things until you're in a relationship. You can feel like, I'm not jealous until you feel jealous.
Yeah.
Then it's like, oh shit, I'm jealous as well. Now I've got to work on that. Oh, I'm insecure. It's hard.
Somebody asked me on my, I do my questions on a Friday on Instagram stories, right? And somebody asked me, what are your green flags? And I went through, and one of them was like somebody that is, emotionally intelligent and stable, not somebody that like kicks off and is emotionally immature and whatever. And I said the words like, it's embarrassing, like just sort it out. And some guy messaged me and was like, hey, when you said that actually really resonated with me. I realized that I actually do that. And I now realize that I need to sort that out. Like, do you have any advice for like how I can change that? Because you just read me to filth. And I was like, hats off to you for like seeing that and me calling you embarrassing and that you need to sort it out, and actually just putting your hand up and going, actually, I really see that in myself.
That used to be me. I used
Yeah.
to kick off for nothing.
Yeah, but also so did Larissa. She was.
Oh, she was, yeah.
She might be listening.
Yeah, come back there.
Wait, my favourite story from you and Larissa is when we were both catwalk models at the clothes show, and you just met her and you were sitting sort of like in front of each other on those plastic chairs, and she made you laugh and you farted on the plastic chair.
And it came up the front.
It came up the front, and she just went.
How embarrassing.
But my favourite story from you and Sarah is when you'd sent her a picture of your poo on WhatsApp, and she was in Zara home asking the woman in the store where to find these cushions, and was swiping along, showing the guy a phone, and she swiped too far and showed him your poo.
I think she said, do you have this colour? And they swiped, and one of them was my shit. That was hilarious.
Oh, I was on the floor when you told me that. Oh.
It's terrible, isn't it?
Yeah, nothing's more mortifying than that. What did he do when he saw it? Was it she or he?
Well, you can imagine her as well. She can barely speak any English, so she was just mortified. But hilarious.
All right, question 2. If you could go back in time to the beginning of your fitness journeys, what would you both do differently and why? Good question.
I would try my hardest not to be obsessed with how I looked. Few things. One, stay in my lane.
And your lane is?
Knowing what your body's capable of, knowing what you want from your body, and not being deterred by how other people look.
Yeah.
Let's say, for example, if you have a 9 to 5 and someone can live in a gym all day,
right?
Change your expectations. And also, I would change the way I train. I would train for longevity. Not like to train to be like a really great 70-year-old, but like be strong, be fit, and be flexible. And implement that from day one. Because I think what I did from day one was like, I want a bigger chest, I want bigger shoulders, I want big arms. And how big can your arms, chest, and shoulders get? Never ending. So you're always chasing this long goal, which you really never achieve. So a few things. I'd set smaller goals, be happy that I achieved them. 2, really understand that what I had achieved was good enough and I didn't need to compare myself. And 3, train for something that would benefit me later as I got down in life to when I was 34 years old. I was strong, fit, and flexible. Where now I'm strong, but God help me if I'm flexible. And God help me if I'm not fit.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And what about food?
I think no matter what I would have tried to do, it would have always ended up this way. No, how I work with a lot of people, and I work with a lot of clients who struggle with food. It's not the gym, it's not training, it's not any of that bro science that does it. It's just the Western world and how we live. Whether you go gym or not, you eat. We are, we sugary biscuits, crisps,
meals out all the time.
Yeah, like it's just more
grab and go food,
more, and it's snacky, shitty food that we want more of. And I just think that's how we're built. I think it's terrible. I think it's just absolutely awful. I listened to this thing video. It's like, you could have the most amazing steak, yeah? Now, if you put barbecue sauce on that steak and you ate it every day for a week, and then you ate the steak without the barbecue sauce, in the beginning, you wouldn't like the steak as much because the sugar would have made you enjoy that steak more.
Right.
Because of the sweetness. So you would have affected your hormones, etc. And that's what happens with us, where we eat such food that stimulates us so much that actually just regular food don't taste as good.
Yeah. And
what we've got to do is strip back the stimulants and go back to normal food. In the beginning, it's going to taste quite boring, but actually then you start to understand, like, you like it again. And I was thinking, that's so true. When I was on prep and food was just,
what do you mean by prep?
When I was
prep in the gay world is pre-exposure prophylaxis, which stops you getting HIV.
Okay, I wasn't on that. Prepping for a bodybuilding competition.
Got you.
Food was this scarcity, so everything tasted amazing. My protein shake tasted like it was like I was drinking ice cream because it was the only thing that I really enjoyed. Fast forward now, where I'm like, I can eat sugar. This ain't protein shake tastes like shit to me. Do you know what I mean? So we get so used to putting all this stuff in our food that now normal food is actually not the norm. Everything has caffeine, sugar, E numbers, even these drinks that just have so much shit in that a normal glass of water just tastes.
So wait, what's your point? So when you were in your 20s and you were bodybuilding, what were you doing? Did you like the way that you were eating when you were in that period, or did you not?
I ate for purpose. I ate chicken, rice, and broccoli like everyone else that was doing training back then, but I wouldn't change that. That I learned how to eat boring, and it saved me a lot of money, and I just wouldn't change that. What would I change it for?
Well, you could have said I was too obsessive with food. I could have loosened the, reins a little bit.
I wasn't so obsessed with food.
I've never really been either.
No, I wasn't. I am. More so when I had it, but like back in them days, I had no money, so
yeah,
I couldn't afford to get a bloody nice bit of food. I can remember one week I ate like tins of tuna, boiling a bag of potatoes, and cucumber for about every 3 meals a day. It was the cheapest thing I could get.
Jesus.
So getting a nice Nando's or whatever, wasn't an option. Wasn't an option. So I didn't really have like a bad relationship with like buying snacks. I didn't have the money to buy all that shit. I probably have that relationship more so now. I'm older.
Yeah.
So therefore, me stopping that at the beginning would have changed. Actually, nothing. It's more about how I look at my body and the comparison. If you're looking to be that like best shape possible, like chest, abs, blah, 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 and you're natural and you're looking at everyone and thinking, oh my God, I wish I could be that. And you're realizing, well, half of them people are probably taking like PEDs and other stuff, or they've got more time than you. So your expectations of what you can achieve it needs to be way lower. Do you know what I mean?
When I think back to me at the start of my fitness journey, and maybe for the first half of it, it felt very accidental in a way. I was not desperate. I was not sort of obsessive, didn't track my food. I just went to the gym because I actually started enjoying going to the gym. And I sometimes wish I had that back, because then what's happened as I've gotten older, I've started to track my food. I've started to overthink everything. I'm now putting sort of more effort into it than I did back then, but enjoying it less. And while I think, food tracking is an excellent tool, if you don't know your arse from your tit when it comes to food, arse from your elbow, sorry, when it comes to food, it's a great tool for educating yourself. I educated myself in the first 5 years and I didn't really need to track. I just ate well all the time, went out for nice meals with friends, and I just trained. And I was teaching Barry's, I was doing CrossFit, but I was also lifting in the gym. So my calorie burn was high throughout the day. I was just doing activity and eating well, and I was lean, I was fit, I was healthy. Then when I got older, sort of started getting into my late 20s, my activity went down because the pandemic came and I stopped teaching so many classes and was working from home a lot more. So activity went down. I stopped doing CrossFit because I'd moved away from the CrossFit gym to the other side of London, and I just was then only going to a conventional gym. Then my body started changing in a way that I hadn't seen it change before. So then I started meal tracking. And then since then, it's always been a sort of like chase to find the right balance between like keeping on track and being sort of mindless and just enjoying it like I did back then. I almost sort of like haven't found that.
Well, it's like
place
the more you know, the harder it becomes, because you know so much that you second guess just being, just doing it like normally.
But I'd say where I went wrong was when I, in the first 5 years, I didn't have to think about how I looked because I was just training for fun, because I was in the start of my fitness career and everything was fun and everything was exciting. I was building community and, and then in the second half, it became way more about how I looked. And that's actually where I went wrong.
There you go.
And now while I'm trying to lose weight and I'm trying to not weigh myself and I'm trying to change, I'm trying to find, you've entered us into a high rocks in April, and I'm really happy about that, because I'm like, now I've got a goal to train towards that's not solely aesthetic based. I'm trying to lose all of that because I wasted so many years trying to go for an aesthetic goal. And as you've said, you never win, because even when you get there, Brazil, 30th birthday, my God, that was the best I've ever looked. I was training, strength training 6 times a week. I was doing steady state cardio 6 times a week. I was eating a calorie deficit that I could maintain. Do you know, I was never going to be able to keep that up beyond.
But also, no one cares.
No one cares.
Except for you.
What's it called? Spotlight. Oh, fuck, it's like spotlight syndrome or something like that, when you think everybody cares about you more than you.
No one cares. So that's why it's like, feel good in your clothes, feel good in your health, feel good in your mentality. That will probably give you a good body anyway. But when you try too much to have a good body, you won't feel good in your health because you're in a severe calorie deficit. You won't feel good in your clothes because actually, if you're a guy, you get too ripped, you look too slim in your clothes, you don't look as good, and your health will be down. So by pushing for aesthetics, you go against everything that we're supposed to train and eat healthy for.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Look at bodybuilding. Like, you take it past that level, and it is good. It's a sport and some people got to do it and that's their living, fair enough. But you take it past the level of just being like living your day to day.
I have a theory about straight competition bodybuilders.
What are you saying, gays don't do bodybuilding?
No, but I'm speaking specifically about straight competition bodybuilders. I don't think any of them have all 3. A good relationship with their dad, a dick size that they like, an attraction to only women. Find me one. I bet they don't have all 3.
Well, yeah.
Because you don't have all 3.
No, I don't. I have 2.
Oh, yeah. Good relationship with your dad and attraction to only women.
Good one. That was a straight joke.
It was, wasn't it? But yeah, I think that is I think
train to feel good, not to look good.
Train to feel good, not to look good, which feels very like eye roll. Okay, 2 people who are seemingly obsessed with their bodies, like preaching.
Yeah, but learn from us.
Yeah,
learn from our mistakes of training to look good.
Yeah, because
we don't feel fucking good.
Some of these girlies that come for me on social media when I post a video that's of this sort of tone about coaching, they're like, oh yeah, coming from the guy, you take one scroll down his Instagram feed and it's all him with his shirt off, don't listen to what he's got to say. And it's like, no, I'm telling you from a place of like, I've been through it all. I can give you this information and this advice. But yeah, where I went wrong was when I started caring too much about how I looked and the specifics and the granularity. However, I had all the tools to not have to do that, right? Whereas some of the clients that we work with, they don't know a thing. We have to educate them on food. They have to track their calories. They have to weigh themselves. They have to, increase the amount of activity that they're doing beyond what they feel comfortable with to get to their goal, because they don't have a clue and they need to learn and they need to go through that process. So it's not to say that you can't train for aesthetics at a period of time in your life.
But also, you got to remember, like, feel good is look good. We're not saying don't train to look good because that's you feeling good. Saying don't take it past that point of feeling good. If you feel great in your clothes, if you feel good with your top off or whatever, like, just know that you're in a great place. But when you feel good, and you go, but yes, I want to be more ripped. Yeah. That's when it becomes a problem. Like, I feel good right now, and you could look at me and go, yeah, you feel, if I took my top off, I don't have a 6-pack right now. Yeah, my mind will go, you need a 6-pack. Well, no, you feel good now. Why don't you stay where you are? Well, no, I need a 6-pack because I need to be like every other person in the fitness industry. That's where it gets unhealthy. So I'm not being like, body confidence and, whatever size you are is great. It's like, no, because if you are overweight and you don't feel good, sort it out.
Yeah.
But by feeling good, you will end up looking good, but don't thrive for perfection.
I give my clients sometimes that want perfection the talk of doom. When they get to a good place and they want to go further, I say, right, we can go here, but you need to understand you've now hit a really good place and you just need to keep doing what you're doing and you will maintain this look. If you want to go there, we're going to have to bring your calories right down. You're going to have to be uncomfortable. You're going to have to be even more strict. You're going to have to do even more exercise. This is going to be bordering on unsustainable and unenjoyable. And you will only have that body for a very short period of time before eventually it's too unsustainable that you're going to have to return back to normality again. And you're potentially putting yourself at risk of having a worse view of your body post this next phase than you do at the beginning. If you want to go down that route, you can go there. But the sweet spot is when it feels easy to maintain and you look good and you feel good.
Take that advice,
keep it there, even if you don't have a fucking six pack, because
it's like women. If you get to a certain point, you push past it, your cycle starts changing, you lose your period, your hormones start changing. Same with men. You push past that leanness, you think your testosterone's thriving at that point. No, then you can't get your dick up. So now you're shredded, but can't get hard on.
Yeah.
So where you're at with that, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there is an optimum point where it's like your body is, you've got a nice flat stomach, you look good. Take it, mate.
Yeah.
Take it, because going past that, I remember being peeled for that bodybuilding show and looking and thinking, I need to go further. I didn't even enjoy it because I didn't know I looked ripped. I always wanted to be more ripped.